I lay sprawled on the cold kitchen floor and gripped my stomach, a searing pain shooting through me like a twisted knife. Catherine, my small daughter, was standing close by, a terrified expression on her face. "Mommy, are you okay?" she said nervously. I tried to sound cool in spite of the excruciating agony. "I'll be all right, my love." I pretended that my stomach discomfort was nothing more than a nasty one, trying to hide from her how serious my illness was. Footsteps sounded closer. Willie, my husband, emerged at the doorway, his features more befitting of irritation than worry. With his luggage and towel, he was ready for his excursion. "Amy, what's going on?" His tone was more annoyed than scared as he said, "Why are you on the floor?" "Willie, I believe you have appendicitis. It's quite serious. We must see the hospital," I whispered, my voice heady with suffering. He gave a contemptuous scowl. "What is appendicitis?" "Most likely, you're just exaggerating." "Most likely, it's just acid reflux." I tried to protest, but I was silenced by a searing agony. With evident impatience, Willie took a quick look at his watch. "I can't let Carol down on this trip." "Simply hail a cab, or something," he offered, dismissively waving. As I attempted to talk once more, my surprise at his lack of empathy increased. "Willie, I'm so immobile. Here is Catherine." I begged, my voice husky with desperation. "I need you." Unfazed, he shook his head. "Most likely, it's nothing. Make a call if things worsen." He then walked away, leaving his baggage in his wake. With Catherine by my side, I lay there in excruciating anguish. Tears filled her eyes as her tiny hands met mine. "Don't be sick, Mommy. You must be all right," she cried. I gathered what strength I had left and drew her in. "Darling, I'm here. Mom is present." I had a sense of urgency once Willie left. I shook my hands and grabbed my phone to call my brother Russell, the only person I knew would be there. The kitchen's quiet was broken by the sound of a phone call. "Hello." Russell radiated hope with his voice. "This is Amy." "Russell, I require assistance. It appears to be appendicitis. I'm immobile." With terror evident in her grip, Catherine clung to me as I blurted out the words, each one a struggle against the anguish. I managed to get through. "Catherine is scared," my voice cracking. There was a pause before Russell's soothing, serene voice answered the phone. "Amy, I'm on my way. Keep your grip tight. I will be there shortly." I closed my eyes as I lay there on the chilly tile floor, attempting to ignore the searing pain that was shooting through me. Amid the turmoil, Catherine remained near, her meager presence providing a small sense of consolation. Something determined began to grow within me at that very instant. Not only was Willie's neglect during this crucial period unpleasant, but it also represented a deep betrayal and a turning point in our relationship. One thing was certain while I waited for Russell to arrive. Things had to change. Later, in the hospital bed, with the clean walls and the monotonous beeping of machinery all around me, I felt a peaceful calmness. My swollen appendix was successfully removed during surgery, but Willie's mental damage persisted. To take care of Catherine while I recovered, I had given my parents a call. Their queries regarding Willie's absence hung heavy in the air, and their voices were full of concern. I was back at home 2 days later. Now the physical pain was only a dull ache, a lingering reminder of what had happened. The good news was that Catherine seemed happy to see me again. "You're back, Mom." Her simple query, "Are you all better now?" made my heart sing. I hugged her tightly and said, "I'm getting there, "Sweetie," appreciating her consoling presence. But the thunderous smash of the main door the following day abruptly cut short our quiet reunion. Experiencing agitation in their voices, Willie and his sister, Carol, suddenly interrupted. "Why did you not come get us yesterday?" The cost of our train and cab trips had increased. As he went into the living room, the room was filled with Willie's accusing tone. I felt a wave of rage rising up inside me at his foolishness. "Good to see you again. It must have been quite the trek." I met his gaze and spoke icily. Willie paused, surprised at my cold reception. The obvious tension seemed to stun even Carol. "What's with the attitude, Amy?" Willie made a demand. I was at my breaking point. "I was in the hospital while you were enjoying your trip," I said, frowning at Willie and his sister Carol, whose demands frequently caused him to neglect his family obligations. Willie was truly perplexed, and Carol's cheeks flushed. "What topic are you discussing? You're all right, then?" he questioned scornfully. "Willie, it's not just about getting by. It's about being there for your family when they need you," I shot back, losing no more patience. Before Willie could reply, the door flew open and our parents and Will's parents, together with Russell, were staring at Willie and Carol with a mixture of disappointment and rage in their eyes. "Why is everyone here?" Willie said, his voice quivering. His normal assurance wavered in the face of their intensive scrutiny. I took a big breath and forced myself to express how wounded and betrayed I felt. "When Catherine and I most needed you, Willie, you abandoned us. You weren't there when I was in the hospital," I told our relatives. Willie appeared to become smaller, losing his usual bluster. His gaze darted about in search of an ally, but it was not to be found. "Willie, it goes beyond this particular occurrence. It concerns all the instances in which you have prioritized Carol over your own family," Russell added, sounding a great deal of disappointment. Normally self-assured, Carol now seemed uncomfortable, her gaze flickering between the floor and the distressed looks all around her. Tension permeated the room as Willie attempted to explain himself by fumbling for explanations and rationalizations. This was a pivotal time for me. I came to the realization that Willie's negligence could no longer define my life. It was time to make a shift, time to defend Catherine, and stand up for myself. Though the meeting came to an unresolved finish, I saw it as the start of a new chapter in which I would no longer put up with being ignored. The events of the day left no doubt about their meaning. Our families were all in favor of me, and Willie's apathetic attitude had clearly broken down as they were leaving. Willie's parents gave me pitying glances, a tacit acknowledgement of their son's flaws. The conflicts of the day replayed in my head as I lay in bed that night, causing a flurry of feelings to swirl around me, including rage, disappointment, and a growing sense of empowerment. It was obvious that Willie's true colors had shown through, and I had to take responsibility for my own life. The days that followed were tense, filled with unspoken words and strained silences. Willie attempted to maintain normalcy, but the air between us was thick with tension. During this time, I took to reflecting on my deep-seated unhappiness and the undeniable need for change. The decision I was leaning towards wasn't easy, but it felt essential, like finally breathing freely after being suffocated for too long. One evening, as Willie nonchalantly flipped through TV channels, I approached him with a folder in hand, my heart pounding but my resolve steadfast. "Willie, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady. He looked up, irritation crossing his features. "What now, Amy?" Taking a deep breath, I handed him the folder. "I want a divorce," I declared. Willie stared at me, a mix of disbelief and scorn etched across his face. Divorce? That's absurd, Amy. You're blowing things out of proportion, he retorted. I shook my head, feeling a surge of empowerment wash over me. It's not an exaggeration. I thought long and hard about this. You consistently prioritized Carol over me and Catherine. I can't continue like this. Willie sneered, his voice dripping with condescension. You think you can manage alone? Don't be naive, Amy. His words were intended to wound, but I stood my ground. I'm not naive, Willie. I understand what this means, but I'd rather face uncertainty than continue feeling invisible in my marriage. He laughed coldly, a bitter sound that echoed in the tense air. Good luck, Amy. You'll regret this once you realize how tough it is out there. His dismissal fueled my resolve. I felt my anger rise, not just at his words, but at the years of being sidelined. This moment, though fraught with challenges, marked a new beginning for me, a step toward reclaiming my life and my worth. Maintaining my composure, I firmly declared, "This is my decision, and I'm sticking to it." For a moment, it seemed Willie might argue further, but instead, he just shrugged, a smug smirk spreading across his face. "Fine, have it your way. But remember I warned you," he said dismissively as he turned back to the TV, ignoring me once again. Amidst a whirlwind of emotions, fear was undoubtedly present, but more overpowering was the sense of liberation I felt. I was finally taking charge of my life, stepping out from the shadows. The next day, I began the legal process for divorce. The paperwork and legal procedures were daunting, but my resolve was firm. My parents and my brother, Russell, provided invaluable support, offering help and encouragement. As the process unfolded, Willie's true nature became increasingly apparent. He was dismissive and uncooperative, attempting to intimidate me into giving up. But I stood my ground, bolstered by my family's support and a growing sense of empowerment. As time passed, the crack in Willie's facade widened. The charming, confident man I had married. Now he has revealed himself to be selfish and manipulative. His true self was laid bare for all to see. The divorce proceedings were arduous, but I approached each challenge with bravery. Each step forward was a testament to my newfound determination. I was no longer the woman who lay ignored and in pain on the kitchen floor. I was reclaiming my life, my dignity, and my happiness. The divorce process was exhausting, punctuated by Willie's continual attempts to undermine and belittle me. In our meetings, he would sneer and make derogatory remarks about my parenting and my future without him. However, his words did not defeat me. Instead, they fueled my determination to free myself from his toxic influence. "Enjoy your struggles, Amy," Willie taunted during one of our final meetings. "You'll soon see how good you had it with me." His arrogance was infuriating, but I remained composed. I'd rather face challenges every day than spend another moment with someone who has so little regard for his family. I replied firmly, and Willie's smug demeanor briefly faltered, replaced by a flicker of anger, which he quickly masked with a scoff. My resolve was clear. I was moving forward, no longer tethered by his disdain. I could feel that my words had struck a nerve. On the day the divorce was finalized, I experienced a peculiar mix of relief and anxiety. I was finally free from Willie, but the path ahead looked formidable. However, as I stepped out of the courthouse, a surge of liberation swept through me, revitalizing my spirit. In the weeks that followed, Willie's life began to unravel. His neglectful behavior during our marriage, and the news of our separation became hot topics among his workplace peers. Those who had once admired him now looked at him with a mix of pity and disdain. His charming facade had crumbled, revealing the pettiness and selfishness that lay beneath. The news of our divorce spread quickly through our community, thanks in part to my well-connected cousin. Willie, who had always been deeply concerned about his image and reputation, suddenly found himself the subject of whispered conversations and judgmental glances. Carol, too, was not spared from scrutiny. Her involvement in our marital issues became widely known, and friends and neighbors started to view her with suspicion and disapproval. The once solid bond she shared with Willie now appeared strained and uncomfortable. One evening, as I picked up Catherine from school, I overheard a heated argument between Willie and Carol outside their house. Their voices were laden with blame and resentment. "It's your fault we're in this mess," Carol shouted. "How dare you blame me? You're the one who couldn't keep your family together," Willie retorted, his voice thick with anger. Their public quarrel was a stark contrast to the united front they once displayed. The discord shown by their actions had finally borne fruit, and now they were dealing with the consequences. As I walked away with Catherine, a sense of vindication washed over me. Willie and Carol were now experiencing the fallout of their selfish choices. It was a harsh lesson, but one that seemed justly earned. The challenges they faced were entirely of their own making. That night, as Catherine slept peacefully in her room, I found myself by the window, reflecting on the tumultuous past few months. The journey had been arduous, yet it led me to a place of strength and self-respect. I had stood up for my dignity and Catherine's future. Though the road ahead was uncertain, I felt equipped to face it with newfound confidence. In the wake of the divorce, life began to settle into a new, quieter, yet more fulfilling rhythm. The burden of my unhappy marriage had been lifted, giving way to a refreshing sense of independence. With Catherine by my side, I started the process of reconstructing my life piece by piece. My main goal was to get a job. I was concerned about the gap in my CV from the years I spent being a mother, but I was adamant about not giving up. I eventually secured a job at a small accounting business following multiple interviews. The company offered a flexible and understanding work environment, and its supportive leadership supported working mothers. For me, it was the ideal fit. With the forbearance that only a kid can exhibit, Catherine also adjusted to our new lifestyle. As she started kindergarten, she made new friends and threw herself wholeheartedly into her academics. Unlike the harsh atmosphere of the past, her laughing and lively talks brought joy and light into our home. Even with these good developments, memories of my time spent with Willie would periodically reappear. As I was leaving Catherine off at school one afternoon, I noticed some parents speaking to each other. "Amy, that's who she is," one of them said. Her husband left her because he couldn't stand being around her anymore. Even though their remarks hurt, I kept my head up. The judgment and rumors were little costs for the independence and tranquility I was now able to experience. In the meantime, Willie's life was becoming worse. His reputation, which had been spotless before, had become obviously damaged, and his pride took a serious hit. He was trying very hard to hide the fact that he had moved back in with his parents, as I found out through common connections. Despite a few sad recollections, this new chapter in my life was largely a testament to my perseverance and the better future Catherine and I had ahead of us. After a while, everyone found out that Willie had moved back home with his parents. Nor had Carol's circumstances improved. Her interfering in our marriage had caused rifts with many of her friends, and her relationship with Willie had taken a serious hit. Their relationship was plagued by guilt and sorrow, and they hardly communicated it at all. In my case, I took solace in my family's unwavering support. Russell, my brother, had moved in closer, and he was a regular source of support and comfort. Catherine was showered with love and care from my parents, which helped to mend the wounds from the past. I thought back on my trip, the suffering, the struggle, and finally the release. One day, as I was sipping coffee quietly in my kitchen, everything had brought me to this peaceful moment. Not only had I survived, but I had also come out stronger and more confident. The doorbell disturbed my reverie. I discovered Willie standing there with a defeated expression on his face when I opened the door. "I apologize, Amy." With regret in his voice, he remarked, "I didn't realize what I had until it was gone." Even though it was late, his apologies confirmed my choice. I softly said, "Thank you, Willie, but it's too late. I've moved on." I felt a deep sense of closure as I shut the door on Willie and the life we had shared. I'd closed that chapter of my life and was starting a new one. I was the creator of my own story in this new chapter, and I could mold my destiny any way I pleased. A grin appeared on my face when Catherine's voice came from the living room. I approached her, excited to welcome the life that awaited me, a life full of opportunities and promise.